You're listening to Planxty, a podcast exploring the rich tapestry of Irish dance and the community who loves it. Hosted by Julia Topper, ethnomusicologist, Irish dancer, music educator, and writer, and Kristo, a 20-year Irish dance dad, live camera director for feis TV, and operations manager at the Celtic Junction Arts Center. So over the weekend, several of us who have been on the crew for feis TV and running sound at majors were the crew that ran sound on 3 of the 4 music stages at Twin Cities Irish Fest, which is the new name for our Irish Fair. Irish Fair of Minnesota is what it used to be called, but now it's the Twin Cities Irish Fest. And there were great bands on the main stage. We didn't participate in the production on that, but we had 3 stages of our own. Two of which we built big infrastructure for, like people would have seen at the CLRG Worlds and Nationals. And especially this sort of out in the field kind of stage that was primarily for dance schools, and it was beautiful. Awesome. And it was fun for me to see from a distance. I wasn't running sound as much on that stage, and there weren't any lights to run on that stage, so I had less to do with that one. But I was still over there periodically. But I could see like these just scads of dancers, jumping up and down on that stage under the big structure that we put together, and it was beautiful. And it was a great weekend. The weather was great. But yeah, I think between the 6 of us that were working, each of us averaged about 10 performances that we managed, each over the course of the weekend. So yeah, ran sound for probably 50 different musical acts, and then all the dance schools that were there, multiple times. So it was a great experience. But yeah, I'm kind of, I bet you're a little tired. Yeah, I am. It's nice to be sitting down at my desk again. So, but all good.
Well, that's cool. I've seen a lot of cool videos from that festival just being shared online. Especially a lot from Bird, from the all-female trad group. It was just they're so awesome.
They were
I
cool
would love
to
see them in person.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. They sounded great.
Very cool.
And it's funny now too. My kids are older, and so I don't, and they're not dancing with the dance school, for this kind of thing. They're actually helping run it. And so I was like gloriously out of the loop in what was going on. But then all of a sudden, my son Henry would come off the main stage. He was dancing with bands that were performing there and a group of other dancers from our school. So it was really cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that was kind of fun. So, and now I saw on social media, Julia, that your daughter had her first dance.
She had her first class last night, and it was great. She'd been wanting to do this for a while, and when I kind of thought that she was, physically ready to go in an attention span, ready to do it, I was traveling up to the closest studio for my school was about an hour away on a good day. More realistically, 2 hours away on the day that she would have had her beginner class. And I was like, we're ready for dance class, but we're not ready for a 2-hour drive with mom up to Baltimore. So we're not going to do that. But yeah, so now they just opened a new studio location that is 15 minutes from our house, the shortest drive I've ever had.
Amazing.
I'm thrilled about that. So I signed her up for classes. She woke up yesterday morning, and the first thing she said was, I get to learn how to Irish dance today.
Nice.
And just she couldn't cease. She was so excited all day.
God,
she was actually kind of off the wall.
Great.
It was a mom needs a little bit of extra patience day, which I'm sure a lot of people understand. But she was really excited. It was cool too, because she just finished up at her pre-K, getting ready to go into kindergarten, and her best friend from school, they're zoned for different kindergartens. So I had the idea, hey, maybe we should invite your friend to come, and that way you guys can see each other every week. And so she came, and the 2 of them were just so happy to see each other and so happy to be there. And I got a little worried. I was like, maybe they're going to spend the whole class chatting. I hope that they didn't make a mistake with doing this. But their teacher said that they just both did really well. Apparently, they were better behaved than some of the older kids in class.
Awesome.
And she showed me today. She started learning a jig, and so she showed me some steps from her jig, and she was just over the moon. So
Oh, well,
it was really cool.
congratulations. Like, yep,
It was
that's how
it
it's
was
supposed to
cool.
go. Oh,
Yeah,
so
it was
good.
really
So good.
really, really, really neat to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's gonna do the class one. They have once a week classes right now, and I figure with starting kindergarten, she's gonna be pretty wiped out for the first few
Mm-hmm.
months. So I want to kind of limit after school activities until we're accustomed to being out of the house 5 days a week and all of that. So
Right.
if she's
Right.
still enjoying it as much as she is, maybe in the spring or next year we'll do the two times a week. But
Okay.
yeah, it was just really cool. It was
That's
cool to
so
see
good.
her so happy. That was the best.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it
that's
was
good.
really good. I was really
Are
happy.
there we have a couple multi-generational dance combos in our school where a mom and then the kids or kids are dancing as well.
Yeah.
Are there more? Is it more than just the two of you
There
at
are a few.
Okay,
I don't
great.
think there are a ton.
Yeah.
I think, but there are a couple. And yeah, I would love. Maybe someday we'll do a two-handed fesh. That would be adorable.
Yep.
I would
That's
love that.
happened. That's happened. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
So
cool.
good.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting, if she sticks with it and enjoys it. Eventually, there's quite a bit of crossover between I think the novice prize winner class actually is in the first hour of the champ class that I'm in. So that's going to be interesting for both of us, right? Because she'll
Sure.
be taking a class with her mom, but also mom is used to having that time to herself, and that is her self time. So
Mm,
that's gonna be a little tricky, but I'm also not gonna worry about it at this point. And we have
yeah.
plenty of time until we get there.
Oh, so great.
I'm
So
in.
great.
She's gonna want a fesh. She's very competitive,
Yeah.
and I can already see that in her. So I'm trying to make sure that we take our time. We're gonna take it one step at a
Right.
time, and we're not gonna rush it
Right.
into anything.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
yeah,
That's
exactly. So
great. That's great.
yeah,
And you have to
yeah,
and you have
very,
to
very
keep
thrilled.
your distance from,
Yeah,
being the dance mom, but also a competitor too. So,
yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
juggling to do.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting though.
Mike
I'm
said he's
just so
already
happy.
Mike said he's already prepared to be taking care of both of us on fesh days, which I love that he's already there. He was like,
Yep.
"Yep, I
Yeah.
got it." He's like, "I got her. You can go dance." I was like, "Okay." I
Yep.
love that that's your attitude. So,
Better that it doesn't come
yeah.
as a surprise.
Right, yeah. I'm like, "Guess what we're doing today?"
Right. 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 Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. That's just
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, big
Well,
steps. Good
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
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 Oh, and before we launch into talking about our guest for today, I wanted
Yeah.
to chat and kind of do a little bit of self promo. So I am, I've had the pleasure of teaching for Celtic Junction Arts Center in the
Yep.
past, and I got asked to offer a class again this fall. So
Mm.
I'm thrilled to announce this on the podcast. If you like listening to me talk for an hour, great news. You can do some more of it. And so I'm offering a class on the development and history of modern competitive Irish dance.
So
So
good.
looking at the development of Irish dancing, specifically through the lens of the CLRG and the nationalist movement in Ireland. And
Cool.
it's going to be 3 classes starting on it was September 24th. It's going to be from 7 to 8:15 p.m. Central Time. And it's going to be just 3 classes, September 24th through October 8th. And if you are interested in signing up, it's all on Zoom. So you can go ahead and sign up. And it's if you go to CelticJunction.org and go to their classes and then their history and literature classes and click through there, you'll find the class. I'll also make sure to put the link in our show notes so you can sign up that way. I think it's going to be great. This is a class that I've been teaching for a long time, and it would be great to have lots of folks sign up. So please join us. It'll be fun.
It's
Spend a
going to be
couple Thursdays together.
so great. I'm glad you're doing it. I think it's really fun that you're able to come back and do that. So yeah, sign up. It'll be good.
Yeah,
It'll be
it'll
great.
be good.
So this is an episode that we recorded a while back, but just sort of the pacing of how things go with this. We had a few others in the hopper, and so away we went with those. But let's introduce our guest and get into that conversation because that's what folks
Yeah.
are tuning in for.
we are thrilled. We have Katie Grennan on the podcast. You all probably know her best as a feis musician, featured on the feis app for her wonderful fiddle playing. And many people may not know that she is also a TCRG, and she has a range of hats. As we typically find on this podcast, our guests tend to do many, many things, and Katie's no exception to that. So I'll go ahead and I'll read her bio here, make sure that I get just everything she does, just fascinating. So Katie Grennan's traditional fiddle playing carries the articulation of a gifted classical musician tempered by the soul of a champion Irish dancer. Her wide-ranging experience as an international touring performer in both live stage productions and television have given her a unique platform as an ambassador for the music of her heart. She was born and raised in Wexford, Pennsylvania, through residing in the Chicagoland area for over a decade. Katie was the fiddler in the popular Celtic fusion band Gaelic Storm for over 5 years. She's recorded a number of solo albums and currently plays in a number of musical projects at the forefront of the Celtic and Irish traditional genres, including Reverie Road, the Bow Ties, and the Chicago-based Steam Quartet. She has also appeared regularly with artists such as Ava Scott, the Trinity Irish Dance Company, Riverdance singer Michael Landra, the Gardner Brothers, and more. In 2024, Katie was awarded Female Musician of the Year by the Chicago-based radio program Ireland Tonight. She is a highly sought-after and dedicated instructor of both traditional music and dance. She works with fiddlers of all ages and levels, both in person and virtually. Numerous students of hers have qualified for and received top 3 medals at the All-Ireland FLA on fiddle dance tunes and airs. In 2024, she received an award for her teaching work by the CCE in Ireland. Having passed the TCRG certification with honors in 2010 from the CLRG, she has held a position as a lead instructor at the Trinity Academy of Irish Dance based in Chicago. Her deep knowledge of Irish dance and musical prowess makes her one of the forefront musicians on the feis scene. She plays regularly for championships around the country, and her recordings tailored especially for Irish dancers can be found on the feis app. She's committed to sharing the gift of music with others. She is the current executive director of Sharing Notes, a Chicago-based nonprofit that brings joy and comfort to hospital patients through the power of live music. She also serves on the board of the Murphy Roche Irish Music Club, a registered branch of the CCE. Katie holds a master's in art management from Carnegie Mellon University and a BA in accounting and psychology from the University of Notre Dame. So she is quite the accomplished human.
She sure is. She sure is. And I just was trying to think. I was thinking back to Worlds in Schaumburg, how many bands she played in the lobby.
Right? Yeah.
It seemed like she was there three separate times. Maybe it was just 2. But
I think so. Yeah. She was phenomenal. Yeah. So if you were at the CLRG Worlds this year, there's a pretty good chance you either heard her, or you heard her, in the bands there one of those nights. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It was pretty great.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and she was just a delight to talk to. She shared with us that the reason that she got into Irish dancing was that her father was from Ireland and was an immigrant, and so her parents really wanted her to have that connection to her Irish heritage. So that was how everything started for her.
That's awesome. It was such a great conversation. So I'm looking forward to getting right into it.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I'm super glad we're having this conversation, Katie.
Me too, Kristo. It's nice to be able to talk with you, I think, for a little bit longer than usually,
right.
At 7:30 in the morning under pressure.
I get a Facebook message that sound help is needed on.
Yes.
Hall D.
SOS. You see smoke signals coming from my stage.
That's where we met. I mean, I don't know if it was anything before that. It was just
in my head, it was 2016 at one of those Aractuses in Minneapolis. But Does that sound right to you? Were you on staff at that point?
Well, I don't know that I can't remember if I was running sound then.
Okay.
I might have been. Okay. Anyway, I was there.
It all blurs together.
It does. Yes. There's always another feis, always another Aractus, which is a good thing.
Isn't that the greatest?
Well, what's your earliest memory of Irish dance?
Oh my gosh. My first memory of Irish dance is within weeks of when I started. I don't know if it was my first class, but it was very early on. I remember just loving everything about it. And I remember this feeling of joy after I learned how to double skip and I was dancing down the floor and just dancing in time to music. And I remember just feeling so happy and I couldn't stop smiling. That to me was like the moment that I was just like, I love this so much. And I wanted to, it was never a struggle to get me to go to Irish dance class. It was, in fact, the opposite. I just loved being there. I loved my friendships that I made. I loved being in that environment of everyone working towards a common goal. I love the choreography. Yeah, so I was 8 years old when I started. I started at the Burke School of Irish Dance, led by Teresa Burke, Tessie, as she's known. Tessie had 3 schools. So she had a school in Cleveland, Ohio, a school in Youngstown, and then a satellite school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is where I grew up. And she would travel once a week, sometimes twice a week, to our location. And yeah, we danced at the Irish Center of Pittsburgh, this huge building in Squirrel Hill. No air conditioning, only these like monstrous fans that they would have stationed at different sides of the floor. There was limited heat during the winter, so we kind of we learned to dance in basically all weather, and it didn't matter because it was just so much fun.
I know a couple people who danced for Tessie Burke, and my husband actually grew up in Pittsburgh as well. So
really,
but yeah, he was there until he was 12. And so so I feel like I have like part of my heart is kind of in Pittsburgh. We go and we visit all the time and see his family and everything like that. But
awesome.
I've heard so many good things about the Burke School and how about what a cool environment it was to grow up dancing in.
It was. And funny enough, Tessie's father was actually a well-known Irish fiddle player.
Okay.
And he has a connection to Michael Coleman, who is one of the earliest fiddlers captured on recording. So Tessie had a love of music that she never really talked about. I only found out about that connection many, many years later. But a lot of the feis musicians who you'll see in that sort of Ohio, Pittsburgh corridor all derived from Tessie's school, whether it was a brother or a connection, a family connection or a student. The Schaefers, Mike and Teresa Schaefer from Tessie's school. Ryan Duns, his sister Tori Duns, grew up dancing for Tessie and the whole family. So yeah, it was something. Playing feis music was something that was something I always wanted to do, but it wasn't something that I started at.
I was curious, so when did you start playing? Did you play violin first and then it, morphed to fiddle, or how was that journey for you?
It was quite a journey, and the journey started very young. I started playing classical violin at the age of 4. At a local convent. So my teacher was a nun who was about 88 years old named Sister Irma. And my parents were not musicians, but we had neighbors and they said, oh, if you want your kid to really grasp how to play music, you got to start them young. So my parents took that very much to heart. So by the time I started dancing at 8, I'd already been playing violin for half of my life. And the Suzuki method does place a very heavy emphasis on ear training. So my parents would have violin music playing throughout the house a lot. So a lot of the pieces I was learning with my teacher, I would be listening to just throughout the house or in the car. And that translated over to Irish music. We always had Irish music playing in the house. I was in that first wave of dancers who started when Riverdance became a thing. So once we got our hands on that Riverdance and Lord of the Dance soundtrack, that was playing all the time in the car. And yeah, other bands like Cherish the Ladies, Eileen Ivers, Sharon Shannon, all those musicians. I got their CDs when I was a kid, and I would listen to them all the time. So I didn't actually start playing Irish music officially until much later, but I would be picking up the tunes by ear. There was a competition that I think they still actually have at the Washington, D.C. Nation's Capital Feis, which is
Yes.
Irish dance, and you play music, back then we'd have a tape recorder and you would literally record yourself on tape and you'd carry the cassette in and they'd put that into the cassette player and then you would dance to the recording of music that you played.
That's wild.
Which was wild. So I loved that competition. And playing Irish dance music there's so many different facets to it, but the slower music actually was easier for me to pick up, which makes sense because you could actually hear all the distinct notes that were being played. But I always felt as a teen or a tween, I felt frustrated by reels because they're played at such a fast speed. And I'd pick up the notes, but being able to play those without the actual understanding of how to play the fiddle and a pure Irish style, that was really what took the most work and truly took decades to master.
When I, just tried like fiddling around on the piano and, I feel like I pick up slip jigs quickly. I can get my treble jigs, my hornpipes quickly. As soon as I get to a reel and I put the metronome on 113, I'm like, I don't know how to make my hands move this fast, actually.
Yes. And as a dancer, that's just the speed you start dancing at. So everyone is taught, maybe your teacher slows it down a little bit, but from the time you're a beginner, you're dancing at that rapid speed. And there's so much that goes into making a reel sound the way you want it to sound, especially on a fiddle. There's so many little decisions that go into every single bow stroke, every single ornament that has to be done at a very slow speed to be able to then bump it back up at speed 113. Yeah. And you can always hear the fiddle players that have spent time at that slower speed and have really studied the Irish style of playing and then transferred that over to Irish dance music.
When you were recording the music then to dance to in that competition, were you doing reels too, or were there? Do you remember any of the tunes?
No, I do remember the tunes. I think, stuff like Rights of Man Hornpipe, which is a favorite, a classic. I suspect that I was playing slip jigs. I think I probably tried to do a reel. I mean, I was like 12 or 13 at this point. So yeah, I don't think I was playing a reel. And if I was, I probably wouldn't have done very well with it.
And did you say, is that kind of thing still going on now? Are people still like, does that
I think they still have that
competition?
It definitely did pre-COVID because one of my students was training for it. So I helped her pick her tunes and it was so fun. I believe they still have it. I can't imagine if it was around in 2001 and if it lasted till 2019, I suspect it's probably made its way to 2026. I need to look up the syllabus. That fesh is only about a month and a half away.
Yeah. It's right down the street from me.
Yeah, so I was just going to ask Julia if you were going to go.
It's a good one to go to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
I usually can't go because I'm usually on vacation then, but my family's staying here this year, so I was thinking about signing up. Yeah, no, they have some cool competitions at that one though. They have some nice ones. It's definitely got a lot of like kind of that unique older fesh vibe to it in a lot of ways, which is really neat. Like you can do the full blackbird, right? Like for people who don't, know the second step and, like a lot of cool stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of specials.
Yeah,
love a good special.
Yeah. Love it. I'm curious, how was your teacher supportive of you picking up Irish music? Did you get any like pushback from your violin teacher growing up?
I had a series of violin teachers growing up. So as I mentioned, I started with that lovely nun, Sister Irma. And then I went through 2 teachers that were classically very focused on classical music. They were both in the Pittsburgh Symphony. And they were both Taiwanese, and they had a very rigid way of a very rigid instruction style and repertoire that they wanted me to learn. I was heavily involved in some orchestras, both in my school. I went to a public school that had a great music program. And then I was involved in the Pittsburgh Youth Symphony downtown. And there was always an audition to prepare for. There was always something coming up. And besides scales and arpeggios, we were generally working on one concerto at a time and then preparing for whatever audition the material that the symphonies would want us to play. But no, they did not want to hear Irish music at all. But when I would play solos or certain things at school, if they offered me that opportunity, I always picked something Irish to play. When I think I was 11, I learned the Countess Kathleen from Riverdance, and that was like my party piece for 2 years. But I do remember, I don't know exactly why this was said, but maybe I was tapping my foot in a lesson, or maybe some Eileen Ivers style slides were creeping into my classical repertoire. But my teacher stopped me one day and he's like, "You sound like a country bumpkin. You have to stop." And my mom and I thought it was so funny. My mom would sit on my lessons sometimes. But yeah, I think although at that point I really wouldn't have called myself a fiddle player. I love to play Irish music, but fiddling wouldn't be exactly what I would say I was playing. I think that was always where I was meant to go. So I'm sure those tendencies were starting to make themselves known somehow in my playing. I don't have any recordings of those years. Smartphones weren't a thing. They weren't around. So not as easily captured back then.
When you're teaching students now, I'm sure you're very sympathetic to what where they're coming from. But is there a way that you carry the classical training through, to help them? I don't know that it's necessarily across. Of course, I played trombone and drums. So why am I
Bring
here?
that to the next session. We'll see how that goes.
Totally.
Do it.
If it's you, Kristo, I'd love you to sit in no matter what you're playing with me.
at the same time, trombone, and it's like put a bar on in the mix.
Right.
But so I don't know, like how does a person get from that classical training into playing Irish trad?
That's a really good question. There's so many elements to that question. But for me, I didn't leave my classical training behind. I feel like I actually brought it with me. But there were a lot of habits that I'd have to unlearn to be able to play trad and play with the sort of lift and style that you'd want to as an Irish musician. Some of the big differences are bowing patterns. There's a certain way of slurring across beats that I found critical to making my real playing, for instance, sound like I want it to sound. That is something, the bowing patterns themselves you would never really see written out for a classical musician. That they're just different. You're slurring within the beat. So that's one thing. Vibrato, that's a huge thing that as a classical musician, you spend years developing your vibrato style, and everyone has a very differing and strong opinions about the style they'd want you to play with. With Irish music, it's always a struggle to try to remind classical musicians coming over to Irish style that you want to really pare that back. You don't want that really strong, vibrating sound, whether you're playing slow or fast. And then there's all sorts of kind of minute differences with ornaments, the amount of bow you're using. There's just so many things that go into it. And I kind of feel like it would almost be like if a ballet dancer wanted to learn Irish dancing, they would have so many skills that would actually be to their benefit. And in the end, probably give them such an edge over folks that didn't have that training. However, at the start, there would be a lot of habits they'd have to unlearn as well. I remember someone telling me back in my 20s when I was saying that I really wanted to develop my style and sound traditional. They were like, "Yeah, I think you could probably do it in about 7 or 8 years." And I was like, "What?" I was shell-shocked and a little offended. But looking back on it, I think about where I was when that was said to me and where I ended up 7 or 8 years later. And when I listen back to that, I'm like, oh, I actually sound extremely similar to how I sounded after that 7 or 8 year period was completed. So, yeah. And I didn't even remember that until someone was telling me the same thing about someone else. And she said that same thing. And I was like, oh, I remember you said that to me too. But it actually, it drove me to really hone in on a lot of details. And I think those 10,000 hours I spent as a kid up until I was a teenager, I almost had to begin those 10,000 hours again to transition over, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That leads into one of the questions that we had teed up for you that I was curious about. Obviously, playing is clearly the core and 98% of what you're doing, it seems like to me. But when you were dancing competitively, like what you loved it when you were 8, loved it. What did that love stay with you the whole time until you stopped dancing, competing?
Absolutely. I really did love it. I loved, as I mentioned, so many aspects of it. I loved the music. I loved the friendships. I loved the ecosystem. I loved being at a feis. I loved watching other dancers. I loved the costumes. And I loved just being in a feis environment and a dance environment. And I loved connecting with people of all ages and places they're from, all for the shared love of the same thing. So yeah, I mean, there were moments when you're dancing, especially the older age groups and the more competitive it gets, there were absolutely moments of frustration. But if I had a bad feis or a bad competition, it never made me want to quit. It made me just want to keep working harder or, come back the next time. I had a number of injuries over the years that I had this situation in my foot where I had an accessory navicular, which is one of the bone. Do you have that?
Hannah did.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So you're well aware of the struggle that you can have with this
Very
bone.
challenging.
Very challenging.
So, sorry, what does this do?
So it's
Just
a bone
bone?
it's a bone underneath your ankle, but it's supposed to fuse when you're younger, and for some people it doesn't. And it's kind of the focal point of when you jump. It's one of the supportive bones. So as you can imagine, not a great thing. So for me, as I grew up, as I grew through the years as a dancer, it didn't really impact my hard shoe as much, but it did significantly impact the ability to jump. So I had to be a little creative with some modifications I would make to my steps. But it just made me, I think, rely on my rhythm harder because that was something that I'd be able to do without, flying off the ground. I'm so sorry to hear Hannah had that too.
Yeah.
Wow.
She muscled through, like you do, tape and surgery and things like that.
Oh, she had surgery too?
Yeah.
Oh my.
And I could never remember accessory. And so the joke in our house, maybe it's just in my mind. I think I'm funny. Some of my family sometimes thinks I'm funny as well, but I always called it the extracurricular navicular. So maybe
I like
that's
that.
a good dad joke.
That is a great dad joke.
Could you write a tune that's called extracurricular navicular?
I'll write it down. It's on the list.
Yep.
Debuting at Nationals 2030. Oh my gosh. I think there should be a support group for Irish dancers with extracurricular naviculars.
Extracurricular navicular. So that's another T-shirt for us, Julia.
Yes.
Maybe.
Yes.
What was the other one? It was a typo that I made.
I think it was the way you spelled feis, or no, it was the AI, whatever the subtitles that originally.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was feis, but it was. Oh no, I don't remember now. It was very funny. I'll have to look back in our text messages.
Go back to that episode. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah, you got to check those AI subtitles. They can get you in trouble if you don't do a proofread.
Yep.
Oh yeah, well, especially because all the Oireachtas and feis, and if we have any of those words that we throw in, it really doesn't know what to do with them. It doesn't know it's Irish.
It never gets caught up.
Oireachtas can be spelled many different ways.
There's no autocorrect that's ready for Oireachtas. That's for sure. I still have to. I spell it in my head when I write it out. It's just such a weird one.
Oh yeah.
So anyway.
Well, so I was looking through your Instagram. I was having fun looking at all your videos and everything. And I saw that you toured in Japan in 2016 with Trinity Company. And I think that we were probably there at the exact same time, or we just missed each other, because that's when I was doing my field work in Tokyo.
Oh my gosh.
I think I had finished. Do you happen to remember what month you were there? I know that was a long time ago, but
yeah, I actually had to look it up to remind myself when exactly it was, but it was July. I think we arrived July 1st or 2nd, and we left July 18th. But we were in Tokyo for a good 3 or 4 days.
We must have, because I left in June. So Yeah, and I think because I remember seeing all the pictures with the RDOG school, which was the last school that I did my field work with, and I was like, and I was like, oh, that would have been really cool to get there and see that. I wonder, what do you remember from that tour? It must have been pretty impactful for you.
It was so impactful, and going to Japan with Trinity was something that always was like a pipe dream. I would read about it in the Irish Dancing magazine because they were on a schedule that they would go every 2 years. And so when I had the opportunity to actually go and play as their fiddle player, it felt surreal to me. But we were there for 18 days. So we actually traveled around quite a bit. As I mentioned, we were in Tokyo, we were in Osaka, Sendai, Nagasaki, we were there as well. And I am appreciative that we got to see so many places and experience their transit system. As you probably remember, it's just so efficient.
Oh, it's wild.
So clean.
Yeah.
We traveled by bus, we traveled by plane, and we traveled by train within the cities or between cities. So that was really neat to be able to experience all those. I'm also a huge sushi fan, so it's absolutely next level over there. I remember stopping at various gas stations, and you go into the gas station and the sushi you get there behind the counter would be, the best sushi you would be able to find in the States. And I just loved their love of Irish music and dance. As I had said just a little bit ago, Trinity had been going there pretty much on an every year schedule for I think about a decade, maybe longer. So the audiences there were actually Trinity Irish Dance Company fans, but they also, in general, just loved Irish music and dance. And they're so respectful during the show, not a ton of applause. But then after, I mean, you would have thought that we were rock stars coming off the stage, the excitement that they showed. And the fact that it's just really taken off over there too. Maybe, Julia, you experienced it, but there's a few Irish dance schools in Tokyo. There's a number of Irish musicians that are playing traditional music in Tokyo.
Who are so good.
So good. There's a session. We went to a session at a pub in Tokyo, and we rolled in after the show, so it was late. And these just, the windows were open and the Irish music was coming through the streets, and they were so excited to see us and play with us, and we were so excited to play with them. And just seeing how that is one of the things that keeps me just so inspired by this community that we're in, because we felt at home playing with these people that we'd never met, that we couldn't actually have a conversation with, mostly because we didn't speak Japanese and they spoke limited English. But we conversed through music for hours that night, and that was amazing.
What a great experience!
Really cool.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember one of my first weeks there. I don't know if you had this experience at all, but I had a lot of people buying me Guinness the first night, and I had not actually been like much of a Guinness drinker prior to that, but I had to learn how to do it pretty quick because it was such a they have to import the Guinness. It's pretty expensive to get over to Tokyo. And I think 4 people bought me one, and I had to drink all of them my first night there. And it was an experience. I don't think I've ever been that full in my life.
No.
But yeah, I mean, people were just always so welcoming and so kind. And I, set dancing. So I don't know if for our listeners that might not be familiar with kind of non-modern competitive Irish dance, set dancing is very much like the Céilís that we do. But there's a huge repertoire of them. They're much longer than what you might be used to. They're done at parties. And at least in the States, I'm not sure elsewhere in the world, doesn't tend to be, really for a younger subset. And one of the things I got to do in Tokyo was go to the intercollegiate set dancing weekend. There were probably 150 college students doing Irish set dancing with live music. It was the coolest weekend ever. And and just like you said, like all these people who just came from all different parts of the country. And there were a lot of expats there as well that were dancing. And yeah, it brought everyone together so wonderfully, and it made such a wonderful community. It was very cool.
Yeah, they truly have embraced the Irish culture over there. And they are dedicated to getting it right too, which I think is great. So they're
yeah, it's very neat. It's very, very cool.
So in looking at your education, Katie, I made a little joke in the email I sent you, but so you've studied accounting and psychology and then have a master's degree in arts management, which like I was kind of joking that having a psych major, it really prepares you for this for this world that we're in. I've stopped referring to it as crazy, but it is niche and unique. But in a way, looking at that sort of accounting and psychology and arts management, it feels like the perfect combination of educational background for all the things that you're doing. Does it roll out that way for you?
Yeah, I suppose. I went off to college not really knowing what I wanted to do with my life. I knew for certain I did not want to be a classical violinist. And so because I'd spent so much time doing that in high school and obviously before that because I started so young, I enjoyed math and science in school. But besides that, I wasn't really sure where that would go. So I declared myself a engineering major when I started off. And that did not stick. And I knew I didn't really want to be a doctor, but I was fascinated again by some of the early psych classes, the electives I took at school. So that's where the psych major came in. And then, I kind of landed in the accounting department and I ended up working as a management consultant for a few years right after I graduated in Chicago. And that company I worked for was focused mostly on healthcare and it is more specifically health insurance. And that was right around the time the Obamacare packages were starting to become they were rolling out essentially. So we were working with different insurers to make sure that they knew exactly what all the stipulations were. But I have to say, a few years in, I was like, this is not sitting right with me. And it was a full-time job, obviously. So it was, I was spending probably 50 to 55 hours at work. And I was teaching a little bit of dance at that point. And I was finding myself at a lot of Irish music sessions, and that's really where I felt most alive and at home. And I was thinking, I can't keep doing all these things up at this pace. So I decided to leave that job, focus on teaching a little bit more, work up my fiddle chops at that point. And a few years later, I did go back and get that arts management degree. And around the time that I was pursuing that, that's when I started to get more opportunities to tour and to play. So after I completed that degree, I spent a number of years focused only on music. I joined Gaelic Storm right after, literally 2 weeks after I graduated that master's program. And I toured with them for 5 years. So that was quite an adventure.
You got really like thrown right into it. It sounds like once you started performing. I mean, that's like a 5-year tour or 5 years of touring is pretty intense, right?
It was, yeah. I had definitely toured before that, but not full time.
Okay.
But yeah, being on the road and just essentially handing over your calendar and saying, I'll be there at every show. Yeah, it was really exciting though. I was a huge fan of Gaelic Storm growing up. So to be able to join a band that I was so familiar with was also a dream come true.
Sure.
And we mostly toured within the States. But what a treat to be able to go to city after city, night after night, and experience the communities there. And I made sure that almost every time we could, we'd have an Irish dance school perform with us, which was a joy to meet so many dancers over the years and to see them dance up on stage. Happy memories.
Yeah. And you were playing, but also you were doing a little dancing with Gaelic Storm too.
I danced a few times for sure. I tried to reduce the amount of dancing that they wanted me to do because just logistically having fiddles attached to you, we were wireless, which didn't mean there were no wires, but I had this complicated system of attaching the wireless to my outfit and to deal with that and then to put your hard shoes on and then to change. It was a lot. So
too much.
I was like, what, I've done enough dancing in my life that this is time for the other local dancers to shine in that department, which was great.
Oh, that's amazing.
And talk about speed 113, Gaelic Storm. Most of the songs were between 135 and 142. So, yeah, I always warn the dancers. I'm like, simple is better.
Yeah,
it's
right.
fast.
That's fast.
Wow. When was it that you started then also, going and playing for feshes? Was it during this time that you were, performing with Gaelic Storm, or did they happen kind of independently?
I played my first feis on my own, I want to say back in 2010.
Wow.
So
Okay.
many years, it was around the time I graduated college. But I had been sitting in at various feishes over the years with local musicians in Pittsburgh. Oliver Brown was a wonderful fiddle player, very kind, and showed me the ropes. David Yates, who is still based in Pittsburgh, very kind, and I would sit in with a few others. But yeah, I played throughout Chicago once I moved out there. So I think, just a sprinkling of feishes a year. But once I was touring with Gaelic Storm and even after, it freed me up to do a little bit more. So I'd say it's a steady progression over the years.
One of the things I spend a lot of time thinking about is, music and dance and identity. And, playing in, a concert hall versus a pub versus the Rosen Center in Orlando.
Yes.
These are all very different, aspects of identity. And I'm curious is there one of those venues where you feel the most like yourself as a musician or as, I know you're not dancing, competitively obviously anymore, but like, are there any one of those spaces where it brings out some of your more dancer identity and you feel like you fit in? Or I'm curious how you feel in each of those different spaces.
Yeah, I'm so lucky that I get to exist in all those different spaces as a musician. I do think a lot of it comes back to Irish dance. I love music. I love all genres, even classical now, all these years later. But I do think that I just feel most like myself when I'm playing Irish music, no matter what that might be. I play in church a lot as well. I play for a lot of weddings. I play for funerals. That's a gift to be able to share music in that context. But yeah, it's definitely a different day when you're waking up at 6:30 in the morning, heading down to breakfast and hooking your fiddle up and you're playing for 9 hours, as opposed to being on tour when you're waking up maybe around that same time, but you're sitting in an airport, you're sitting on a bus, you're sitting on a train, and you don't actually end up getting to play until later that night, 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and it's in a more condensed time frame. I love the fact that at a feis, or especially at a major, if you're lucky enough, you get to play with someone who's equally obsessed as you are with this sort of music. And I was thinking about this as well. I think people have a misconception that your day is exactly the same every day when you're playing for a feis. And so many people have asked me over the years, you're just playing the same tune over and over again. Doesn't that get boring? And I don't think people, and I, try to explain it in a succinct manner, but you're not playing the same tune over and over again. Most musicians that are playing at that level, we have hundreds and hundreds of tunes that we're cycling through, and everyone has their own individual repertoire that speaks to them and gets them excited. So I can't wait till I sit down and I look at my list and I'm like, all right, I've got 300 reels. I wonder which ones I'm going to play today.
Nice.
And it's even more fun when you get to do that with someone who's on the piano, because there's a lot of spontaneity in that. We've put our 10,000 hours in at home, and by the time you sit down in that chair at a feis, you really should not be thinking about, oh my gosh, is there a C sharp after the D, or where does that note go? Like, that's not what you're thinking about. You're just letting go. And I think that's the beauty of playing at a feis. It's ironically, when you're touring with a band, you're playing mostly the same music every single night. Again, there's some spontaneity in how you play it, but it's actually more there's more creativity, I think, when you're playing at a feis in the decisions that you make.
Does Wexford, where you grew up, is there a lot of carryover from Ireland? Is it a big Irish community?
Good question. I would say no. I know there were settlers. Yeah, great question. I actually don't really know the full history behind that. Sorry, I know you guys are ethnomusicologists and into history, but
I should have known the answer before I asked the question, but I'm just
quickly go into Wikipedia. No, it's not necessarily a huge Irish community in Pittsburgh. There were a lot of Irish settlers in the 1800s, as well as Germans and Polish. But yeah, there wasn't like a strong Irish community in Wexford per se. But Pittsburgh, there's a lot of Irish history there. The Irish Center, as I mentioned, where I grew up dancing, that was a huge community center for folks for years and years and years. Unfortunately, it shut down a few years ago after COVID, which was a huge bummer.
Oh, bummer. I didn't realize that. Oh,
yeah.
I'm really disappointed to hear that.
They actually sold it to the local conservatory. So they... plant conservatory, and it houses plants now, which kind of strange thinking back on all those years spent dancing on the floors, and now, but I'm glad it was repurposed for something positive.
Yeah,
me too. Me too. Awesome. I know we're at noon here, and I know that Julia has to.
Yeah,
get on a plane.
I'm actually dancing at a feis tomorrow, and I decided to gamble, and I was like, well, maybe they'll. Maybe my dance will be in the afternoon and I can fly in and fly out the same day. I'm on at 8 a.m. So I moved my flight to this afternoon. And so I have to go on a plane. I have to leave in about 15 minutes to go get on a plane.
You're not coming to Chicago, are you?
No, it's Denogla Feis in New Jersey. Yeah,
awesome.
So it'll be good. It'll be good.
So fun.
Go put a wig on my head and get in a leotard at 8 a.m. Sounds
amazing.
Like a good time.
Hey,
why wouldn't
that's my idea of a good time. I have rock to strings all the time. I wish I could get up on stage and dance just one more time.
Do you miss it? Do you miss dancing as much as you were when you were competing?
I wouldn't say I miss it because I still teach and I still dance during class, so I get my fix that way. But I do miss that thrill of the morning where you're getting ready side stage and you're dancing and you've worked so hard on your steps. I miss that, but I like to share that with the kids that I still work with and hope that just even picking the tunes that we pick and playing, it's almost like you're the soundtrack to those every moment for a dancer. That I remember, I can specifically remember certain moments where dancers or where musicians would play a tune that really got me going. So, it's a treat to be able to continue to do that for
that's
others.
Really cool. Yeah, I hadn't thought about it that way, but of course, that makes total sense. Amazing. Oh, Katie. Thank
Kristo,
you so much.
Thank you so much.
Man, this has been a ton of fun. So I really appreciate this. And it's fun.
I'm so honored to be here with you guys.
Yeah, thanks. It's our honor to have you. You and I, we don't get to talk like this. So we'll have to do more of this.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Congratulations on all you guys are doing. And you're interviewing all my favorite people. So just keep them coming. Keep those episodes coming.
Awesome. We will. And I'm sure we will see you in Orlando.
Yes, for sure. Are you dancing in Orlando?
I am. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Good luck. I hope I play for you.
Oh, Kristo, we need to get you up there.
Yep. Well, somethday.
Are you dancing too?
No.
I was like, whoa.
I said I'm not. No. I
would be all for that. Senior men's champion, Raptors 2027. It's happening.
If I'd only started before I turned 60, would have been better. So, but
age is but a number, Kristo.
100%. True. I always feel that way too. So we'll come around and make you sound good. That's for sure.
Cool.
Thanks again, Katie. I really appreciate you spending time with us today.
Thank you so much, Kristo and Julia. I had the best time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Planxty podcast. Our technical producer is Kristo Sween. Our managing producer is Julia Topper. Theme music composed and performed by Sean O'Brien. New episodes drop on the 17th of every month.